All right, welcome on back. I wanted to start recording it to show you. We got it. We got it. We got our pickaxe, our thing. We got our maps. Now we're just getting like all of our extra stuff. Oh, that was so scary. So what I did is I stopped the video, looked at the old video. I think we got it just about everything actually. So I got my tools. I don't think I'm missing anything. I even have my bed and my boat. I have my original map, which I know. Oh no, no, I am missing. Crud. Okay. There's one more map. Oh, and there's the heart of the sea. The other map isn't as important, but it's still a pain because we're directly to the east. Oh shoot. Okay, so there's that. I had a pretty full inventory, so wait. There's just one more map. It would be annoying to lose that map, so we're gonna try to find it. But oh, I'm so relieved that I found it. We still got to be careful because this is a very dangerous area. I could easily fall and die yet again. But this is where I died. This is where all my stuff was scattered. I mean, there's a lot of iron ore, so I'm gonna come out on top with that. But oh, yeah, I fell all the way down that into here. I might just have to accept that that map is lost because we actually went like 5 minutes in the other video, and I was way off. I had to come up to 900 something, as you can see. All right, well, shoot. I saw the treasure map and I was like, okay, cool. I've got my two maps. I've got my tools, everything. But yeah. All right, let's go ahead and finish exploring this and let's get going. Because already that just kind of soured my experience with this. Oh, I guess we'll go ahead and take all this iron. Don't let it have been for nothing. So, anyways, what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted with my falling to my own death. Actually, you know what? I don't even care about that iron. Let's just get out of here. I'm done. I'm done. I want to get out. uh, but basically, so I saw this article from the president of Colombia saying that, Coke should just be legal. It's not more dangerous than whiskey, and whiskey is totally fine. And really, it's just like the people that are making these determinations, like alcohol is hands down the most dangerous thing, yet it's the most commonly accepted. I mean, it just always has been. And so, and rather than taking the steps to kind of really address that and realize that it's more dangerous for some people than others because it amplifies and magnifies, whatever's going wrong in your life. Oh, hey, Poochie. Are you here to try to help me find my map? Oh, now I'm all nervous because, like, that is such a trap. Like, I'm almost wishing I'll, like, see it from way up here. Like, oh, there's the map. But I don't see anything moving down there as if it was, like, a collectible or something you could pick up. So, anyways, let's just get out of here. And then we'll have to go make another map. But fortunately, I keep a copy of the map back at the home base just for that reason. If I die somewhere on my journeys and lose it. So the problem with that is like if I forget which direction it is, but then even that I would just have to look at older videos to see the coordinates and be like, oh, okay, that's where my base is. So, and I'm pretty sure I build it around origin anyway, just to be like extra sure. So like, say I'm completely lost, I lose everything, all my tools, I'm mad, I'm table flipping, all that. Then I would just have to remember, okay, go to 0, 0, back to the origin, back to the basics, and I have enchanting books there. I have librarians, at least I did have librarians that had all the stuff. I think that kind of changes over time. Like they keep getting stuck places and like regenerating or something, like or dying, and then new villagers take their place, and then I come back to try to trade, and it's like none of them have the enchanting books that I thought they did. So, but either way, it's a small fix. And I have tons of riches back at the base, like emeralds are the biggest thing, like to gain levels, to be able to buy enchanting books, to be able to enchant gear. Now I'm all like extra cautious, like, oh, am I going to fall to my death? So, but really the pickaxe, I thought there was a fourth tool, but I guess I don't carry the hoe with me. That makes sense. And I don't carry a sword because I never play out of peaceful. I mean, it's just not. It's not how I play Minecraft. Some people play all in creative. Some people play all in adventure and survival, and some people play all in peaceful, like the in between. So, anyways, this lady was trying to shame me. She went to my XApp page and took a screenshot of two things I posted, and one was Dr. Pepper cannabis infused sodas, and then there was the cocaine article right below that. And she's like, interesting, somebody that would post stuff like this would want candy tobacco banned. And I'm like, well, yeah. Did you Google any of that? Did you actually think for yourself with any of that? I mean, we've been taught that drugs are bad, okay? But I've known a lot of people that have used many, many drugs for many, many years. And the worst thing always seems to be the alcohol. If the alcohol and the tobacco weren't factors, they're not all that unhealthy. And then the shame and then the dangers of like, it's kind of similar to those people taking the extreme selfies. Like they go out of their way to take like the most extreme selfie for bragging rights or like, oh, this was stupid. I could have died. And like, but I didn't, you know, it's like, that's kind of like a selfie isn't dangerous in itself, but the way that society is treating these particular selfies, like people are encouraged mostly by themselves. It's mostly intrinsic to go do these extreme selfies. Well, it's very similar to how we treat drug use and drug abuse. Like, if you were out to go just use a drug for the afternoon, go play games, go hang out with your friends or whatever, go do anything uninhibited by society and laws, you'd probably be perfectly fine about 9 times out of 10. Now, because of the way we treat druggies and, and like evil people, and they're so evil and we're so mean to them and all this, and like, we force them to use them in back alleys and like to buy the stuff. They have to go to black markets and go buy risky substances from people you have no idea whether it's real or not, whether it's poison, whether it's laced with fentanyl to make it more addictive, yet potentially even more deadly, like, and all of these different factors, all because somebody didn't like the way that weed smelled. No, just kidding. It was really Nixon wanting to target political opponents, and because hippies would smoke weed and congregate, they would come together to smoke this bud and start talking about, we don't need war. Why are we killing people around the world? Like, what does it gain? Like, what possibly could it serve for society? And so, and people started realizing, hey, maybe we don't want war. Maybe we should tell the government we don't want war. The government saw it, and the government always makes a lot of money off of war. That's one of the unfortunate things about World War II is like we banded together to fight a very clear and present evil that we all could get behind fighting against. And then, we put all this time, money, and effort into building this stuff. What are we going to do with it? Are we just going to go bankrupt? No, let's, do the businessy thing. Let's continue to make war all around the world, or at least make it look like we're at war all around the world, so we can justify paying for all these things. And then that's big business for a lot of people. Okay, well, and that's where the problem lies, is we make too much money off of war and death and chaos that we've just had to keep it as part of our GDP. Like, that's just part of our economy. Like, so, yeah. Thankfully, we're changing it slowly but surely. And I don't know, whether you love him or hate him, President Trump is doing some big things. Oh, and that's what we were going to talk about, U.S. aid. Now, and granted, I got a pretty heated debate about this with one of my... Oh, there's the alarm. Well, we'll go a little bit longer just because we chopped this in half. That was supposed to be the alarm for both pieces. And now, what are we at? We're at... Okay, let's actually set another alarm to make this one another 15, 17 minute around that. So we're at 9 minutes. Let's go ahead and add another 7, 8 minutes. So, because I do want to finish this discussion. Yeah, 9:02. That sounds good. I just have a big day of development. I'm going to start working on some tools and some coding stuff that I've been wanting to for a while. I'm finally getting caught up on all the IT tickets and support stuff that I need to do in the projects. And the projects, well, I'm about to start a really big one too. But in between that, that one's still waiting for a couple other preparation steps. So I'm okay with that. Today is a development day, and Fridays at my work are pretty much relaxed anyway. Like, you're not supposed to do meetings on Fridays, like, although a lot of people do. You're not supposed to Like call people on Fridays, like that's just gross. Like, just chill Fridays. So still get work done. I mean, I still do a ton of work. I support over 1,000 students and faculty and staff every year with IT. So every year. Now, the actual number of people that submit an IT ticket or try to get a hold of me, I don't really answer phone calls, but that's awesome because, like in other places I've worked, if you don't answer your phone, oof. But in this one, I don't answer my phone because it's a security risk. Like, I'm in IT. Like, I mean, people are most likely fraudulently trying to talk to me, so I just don't answer it by default unless it's a number I recognize. I don't do cold calls, so and that's one nice thing about it. But anyways, let's focus back on USAID. So, yes, it is terrible that a lot of the legitimate reasons that USAID has been distributing funds are impacted by this. I'm not saying that. I'm not excited that those people are going to go without funding, even for a day. However, and this is what I was trying to bring up to this person I was talking to, look at the tactics that they're doing to try to guilt you over this. Like, if this was such a fragile system, like if this didn't exist, like look at how it's kind of right up there with don't feed the wildlife because you'll make them dependent on aid and then they won't be able to survive for themselves. Like what if that aid disappears or isn't there regularly? Then you just set up a support structure that that animal has become dependent on and they're now at risk for, it's a similar concept. And what the correct way, at least in my mind, oh gosh, gotta be careful. Might be just another death, but is to empower people to help themselves, and that's what like a lot of people that I'm working with do. They work with locals to get them to volunteer and work and do this and that and fix their own country, their own selves. And that's what a lot of places and governments are starting to do. Is like, hey, we'll give you the tools or we'll loan you the money or we'll do this and that, you know, and then we'll help you fix it yourselves and join us and be a global community. And that's like the direction that pretty much everybody wants to go anyway. Even the really rich and greedy people that live off of war, like it's still a common goal. Like, I mean, we want everybody to be happy. We want to be safe, protected. We don't want to be overpopulated and start running into problems that way. But at the same time, like war is pretty close to becoming obsolete. Like we're shaking out the last little couple bits here. And I know that sounds messed up, but if you look at like the world history of humanity, like as a macro level view, we had horrible wars, torture, and oppression, and horrible things happening for many, many years, very long time, a very long time, and now our wars are starting to turn into mostly it's just blowing up things and like more like theater and stuff. So people are still dying. Don't get me wrong, and that's what we need to. Like the Russia-Ukraine war is sickening with just how many people are dying. Like today, in a civilized time, supposedly civilized, we still have all these people dying over basically land and rights and wealth. And like it's wealthy people angry at other wealthy people and justifying launching missiles that cost as much as a starter home. And that was one of the points that I brought up is like, these missiles that we keep sending off, like one of them could probably almost be a down payment on a house for a family. Like, and you just blew it up. And imagine if you missed the target, like, well, just fire another one. Like, and that's what the military is doing. Like, and they're being told to do it. It's not like their fault directly. They're following orders. So it's really the people giving the orders or setting the policy or the people that Trump and Elon are trying to dismantle. Like the military budget has been bloated and run away for a long time, for as long as I can remember. I remember talking with people that were like, that was like a common thread. Both Republicans and Democrats constantly were worrying about that defense budget is insanely high. Like, why are we spending that much? And then you hear little stories like, oh, this plane or this jet that cost $1 billion just crashed. And it's like, wait, what? That could have done so much good to our country. Like we could have fixed so much things. And it's ironic because this particular person that I was debating with, she constantly tells me, oxygen mask. Worry about yourself before you worry about others. Make sure you're good. And that America needs to take one big oxygen mask moment. And so that's referring to when you're in an airplane, you're supposed to put on your oxygen mask first before you help children or minors or anyone else, because if you don't, then you're not going to make it to be able to help them. If you can't help yourself to where you're at least safe and stable, then you can't even possibly think about helping somebody else. And that does make sense. Now, okay, the US, we have such a high homeless rate, or housing insecurity. We have severe rampant addiction, and mostly it's really alcohol. The underlying thing, it's alcohol. Hard drugs happen to just play into it. Like the actual hard drug itself, if you didn't have alcohol, the cravings and the addictions are actually pretty manageable. But it's that alcohol. And so people are like, well, at least I can have this. If I can't have this, this, and this, at least I can go have a beer. That's legal. And then they'll have a beer. And then that skews your judgment. It makes it to where, oh, well, now I want something harder. Like, okay. And then they often do. So that's kind of that thing. It's like, and nobody wants to really like go back to alcohol prohibition because they remember the mobster days and Al Capone and all that, like how people were just Tommy gunning each other in the streets, and which is that even all that worse than death by cop and all these things where, and again, the cops are not out there like, oh, I want to go kill somebody today. No, they're put into some pretty nasty, ugly situations because of the war on drugs, because of how we demonize certain substances, yet we're totally fine with tobacco and alcohol that kill, well, to combine, they kill over 500,000 every year. Alcohol, I think, is up at like 170 or 190,000, which I thought that was a lot higher. I didn't realize tobacco was so astronomically high. And the original article that this was arguing about was they were trying to cut funding. There was a project that was funding or investigating the effects of candy tobacco or colorful stuff, well, really candy stuff or flavored tobaccos and vapes on certain demographics like black communities, poorer communities. And they listed like a whole things, and then the LGBTQ was at the end. But this person wanted to ignore the first bit of it and say, hey, we're paying millions to study what it's like. Oh, there's already that one. But we're paying millions to understand what the ramifications are for the rainbow mafia is basically what he was getting at, or this person was getting at. It was like, why should we pay any money to this subgroup, this demographic, for if tobacco hurts them or not? And that is a slippery slope to like, well, why don't we just kill them all? I mean, like, why are we even protecting them? Like, that's how the Nazis and the Jewish, like, it all started with that. Like, let's, hey, we don't like this group, so let's get everybody else to hearts and mind hate them too. Like, oh, and then let's put out a bunch of propaganda and all this. Granted, the LGBTQ community, on average, like the majority of it is very sensible. However, like the Pride Parade and stuff like that, when that's all you see, and funny enough, the people that are against all of it, the only things they'll show are like the Pride Parade and like kids watching it and stuff. And so it's like, okay, that's enough to make any parent pause and be like, wait a minute, I don't know if I want my kids seeing like people like literally like naked people walking down the street doing sussy things. Like that's not a place for kids. That's a place for them to be proud of their, whatever they've got going on and be able to express that. But as a parent, I wouldn't take my young kid there. I mean, I feel like that's just kind of weird. But I support their right to do it. Like, I'm totally fine with them doing it. It's just, I don't want to be there. And actually, I might even be there for, like, to cheer them on and stuff. But, like, without kids, that's the main thing there. Sorry, we'll go a little bit longer. We'll make this closer to, like, a full episode. Now that I think about it. In fact, let's do that. We only got 12 minutes. Let's make this a full one. That other one will be a little partial. We have our weapons back, or our tools even. We don't even have weapons technically. Let's see, add another 11 minutes on. Let's see, 11 and 12 is 9, 24. $21 from now. No, we don't need that. 14. I was off by 10. Okay. Whoa. Oh, that's because I did 8, not 9. Whoops. Okay. So anyways, and just kind of like going through it, thinking through that, the reasoning, the why. But with USAID, there's reports coming out that some of the funding went to smear campaigns, news media outlets, the mainstream media, and all of this stuff that like Trump has been saying for years, like the mainstream media is fake news, like they're paid to make you hate me and all this. And now I'm starting to believe it. Now I'm just like, wait a minute. If they were funded by government funds that are supposed to be going to helping developing nations, and they're pushing these narratives to basically say that Trump's all evil and all this, it's like, wait a minute. You're using funds that are supposed to be for like helping other countries like become competitors in the world news market and all this and like be able to tell their own story. And you're mad at, like there is definitely some stuff there that doesn't add up. And I'm like, okay, maybe that does need to get audited. Um, ooh, actually, I don't know if I want to like take the time to, let's get that gold. Well, let's go ahead and get these two. I was going to say like, we're kind of running low. Oh, I wouldn't say we're running low on obsidian, and we can always manufacture quite a bit of it. I want that gold. Okay, it's fine. But anyways, and now it's being found out that, yeah, and these things people need to know. It should be all on a big graph, like who funds what and why. And it needs to be laid out like that. And it's being found out that, because otherwise it seems silly that we get mad at other social media platforms, Truth Social, and billionaires that support Trump, like wanting to do this, and that, when if it's true, and that's the thing, I think it's only claimed so far, and I did talk with Grok about this. I love using Grok, but Grok is only one AI. And you got to be careful with AI, but they're really good at putting together things that a Google search would just yield anyway. So I mean, it's not like some magical wizard thing, it's just a really good Google search engine basically. And Google was the original search engine using things like cosine similarity, stuff like that. So, um, so yeah. So where was I at with that? Oh yeah, so we're at this process where we need to wade through all this information. Like we're finding out a lot of stuff, and it's like, okay, well, this is alarming, but let's figure out, like, is it really as alarming as we think? Like how much, and then the relevance of what money is going to where. But already the looks of it, the evidence shows, well, okay, so for instance, BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which has an unfortunate acronym. Um, those that watch any kind of Pornhub know. But anyways, so they had 8 million, or no, it was 8% of their budget was coming from U.S. aid. Now, and Elon started off like, why are we funding the British Broadcasting Corporation? Well, okay, because that is actually for their international arm that helps around 35 developing countries with their media, like help them have a voice in the world. So it is a very important and noble cause. And so there needs to be additional information. That's why I love community notes, and I'm an active member of community notes where I'll go in and I'll rate other people's stuff, and very rarely I'll post my own thing. But like I love it because community notes will add additional context. Like, while yes, this is true that the BBC was receiving 8 million from us, that doesn't mean that we're funding their, like, the funding needs to be explained. It was actually for their international arm, and it was in a collaborative effort to help developing countries have a voice. Like, that's what needed to be added. And I think it was actually. So, or same with like Chelsea Clinton casually getting 84 million. So that was a false claim, even from the image that person shared. Like, it's in red that only $15,000 came from taxes. 15,000. So that's a drop in the bucket when you're talking about like tens of millions. Like, you could almost just remove it and say, okay, well, let's just not accept that. Let's just stick to these private funds and all this. Okay. And then, it's just being found out that and it's weird because it's like Goebbels, like, accuse the enemy of that of which you're guilty. And for the longest time I thought, oh yeah, the Republicans are trying to buy this and that and this and that, when really it is rich, wealthy Democrats wanting to buy news outlets. Like, the mainstream media is basically bought and paid for by Democratic sponsors and supporters. And as a Democrat, I kind of feel dirty about that. I'm like, wait a minute, like, or at least we need to stop getting so mad at Elon once it's found out that we're doing the same exact thing. And I say we because I still consider myself more of a Democrat than a Republican, because I think too many conservatives and Republicans, they focus too much on the Bible and then they accidentally make it worse. Like, if Jesus came back today, he would be pissed about a lot of the things that Republicans are doing, specifically sex abuse on children. Like, the churches are notorious for that. I mean, and I think a lot of it comes from standing by thinking that Jesus was God. Even if he was, like, okay, here's the thing. Even if he was, we should not even care or say that it continually remind, because the way that it is, I mean, now we have the tools, the communication tools, and we can take the time to be like, okay, if he was, okay, that's one thing. But if he wasn't, then that means that, Arabs, Muslims, and everyone else in the world, Judean, like, well, Jewish people, they still follow a lot of the same, like, religious laws and rules and guidelines. They just don't think Jesus was God. That's it. Like, I mean, and they have, like, the Old Testament, and I don't know. I'd have to, like, really look into that again to speak of authority on that. So don't quote me on any of that part. But, like, from my perspective, living with Muslims, we talked about it. And they were like, we just don't think Jesus was God. And I was like, okay, yeah, honestly, I don't really think so either. And they were kind of surprised by that. They're like, wait, really? And like, it's like, yeah, think about it. Like, how weird is that? Like, it's like very superstitious people wrote a book about, like, it was a very good book with a lot of very good morals, but at the same time, like, was it directly from God? Or and then creator could be like up to interpretation. Like, if we were really a race of space monkeys, like a breeding experiment by aliens from Jupiter's moon or something, we could say the creator is some alien flying around in a flying saucer. Like, that's God to us. Okay, well, what created that? That's the real creator. But technically, there could be several layers of separation of creators in between us and the ultimate creator. So, like, I'm creating stuff in this world, and then whoever made Minecraft created this. Like, see, there's multiple creators. And so, without specifying which one, and it could be any one of the deputy creators or like lower level creators that helped write the Bible. Maybe Jesus was an alien, but like alien makes more sense than God. Like, God we reserve for like the ultimate power, like the person that we kind of assume has the power to create everything and destroy everything. And maybe that's not even the case. Maybe our entire existence was the accidental sneeze of some other being in some other dimension. And that's a little more tangible to think about because then you're getting into like simulations and realities or like artificial realities, like Minecraft is as well. This is not a real world I'm running around in. It's just a bunch of zeros and ones, a lot of zeros and ones. But still, at the end of the day, all it is a digital representation of what the zeros and ones describe. In fact, we have even a city texture pack, so it's not even like legit Minecraft. It's actually like a different flavor of Minecraft. So different ones and zeros to completely change the way that this place looks. Like all of this stuff is completely different. So yeah, it's a trip, quite literally. And so, anyways, back to my original thing, drugs. Even though yes, you need to be careful about them, and you still need. And it's for any kids that are listening to this, which first off you shouldn't be, but second off, be very careful because it's really dangerous to get caught with any of that. Now, actually using it, there is still danger. I'm not saying there's not a danger to it. You can overdose, you can die, you can. It's a lot of times, like with more of the opiates, like if you choke on your vomit, it's not really the drug itself directly doing it. It's the effects of the drug making it to where your body can't protect itself against simple things that had you not been on that drug, your body would have been fine. Like, okay, I rolled to the side, cough out the puke and breathe. As gross as it is, I don't die in that scenario, whereas, or yeah, just a number of things like organ failure, or like your body doesn't have the response time to be able to breathe or something, or like, any number of things. Like, so it is still dangerous, but what's really dangerous is the war on drugs telling us that these drugs themselves are this danger and then we just make just as much danger or more trying to stop it, prevent it. Like, what was it? The other guys had a great, oh, well, now we'll finish that thought and then we'll close this out. This keeps getting longer and longer, but the other guys, they had a scene where there was like someone found a pound of weed and they were doing a chase and a gun battle in downtown New York. They crashed cars, they blew up a bunch of things, like all of this damage and mayhem. And it turned out all they had was like, I think it was either a pound or an ounce, which is a big difference. If it was just an ounce, you can go pick that up from a dispensary as a normal citizen in any of the states that have made it legal, or at least Colorado. I can't really speak to the others, but and then they did millions of dollars of damage. Whereas if they would have just gotten caught, arrested, and processed, they would have been back out and then fine. Maybe the weed confiscated, but it just drove it to that extreme. And that's what the war on drugs does. It makes it dangerous for law enforcement and citizens alike because it makes it to where we treat it like it's some like terrorist and nuclear materials just having a little bit of weed in your bag or something, and then and then it escalates. Well, I guess it doesn't start there. It slowly escalates there, or sometimes quickly, because police and law enforcement can tell when you're lying. They're like, wait, obviously they're hiding something. I want to know what that is. And so then through that song and dance, like they work together to end up escalating it to where it's like, oh gosh, now they're in cuffs, they're bleeding. I had to beat them and rough them up a little bit. They punched me too, so now they're going to get that charge. And all over, oh wait, we just found a weed pen or like some kind of bud in their backpack. All right, well, sprinkle some crack on them. Let's get out of here. Like as Dave Chappelle used to joke about, because it is that ridiculous. And even crack, like all that. Like I would like to, like Hunter Biden, love him or hate him, he is living proof that you can literally smoke crack, and as long as you have a good job with a supportive family and money, fine. You could still be a leading global diplomat, like working with international companies, like handling millions of dollars and all this crazy stuff. And he's literally smoking crack. Like I still can't wrap my head around that. Like that should have been like the defining moment. Been like, okay, let's reassess every drug because clearly we got it wrong this whole time. Clearly, this is not as dangerous as killing people and oppressing people over it is. Putting them in prison, separating them from their families for decades at a time, like, well, years, if not decades. And there's people rotting in prison still for weed stuff, like growing weed. That's why I get really mad at Biden saying, former President Biden, saying, uh, nobody should be in prison for simple possession of marijuana. Okay, well, they shouldn't be in prison for anything marijuana. Marijuana is not a big deal anymore. Like, get with the times. It's done. It's over. We've discovered that it was a bunch of bullpucky this whole time. In fact, I think we should run them out on rails. Everybody who's still a prohibitionist, like checking my watch right now. Right now, anybody who still is, claiming that weed should be banned, prohibited, and all this, they should be put in a stock and publicly ridiculed only for a couple of hours and let them go back to their lives. But I think we should bring back the stocks, seriously. And then have somebody standing there reading, hear ye, here are the facts in the for and the facts against. And this person is guilty of ignoring the facts for emotions and being an idiot and a nincompoop. So throw your rotten vegetables at their face henceforth. And then be done with it. You wipe the stuff off your face, you go, let's go buy you that bag. I'm just kidding. But anyways, ta-ta for now. We almost discovered this whole thing, but we did have a kind of a panic moment there. I almost lost my cool. I was pretty mad. I was pretty sad too, devastated, but I got it back. I don't know. I don't want that to happen again, but all right. So on that note, ta-ta for now. I got to get some work done. I will see you in the next one. I'll see you tonight. So I have super fast internet in the house. Oh, that's the other thing. I wanted to say that I am going to start doing Twitch again. So I'm going to gather that up. I still have like 120 some people that just left it as subscribed and followed. But I'm going to start with coding game, and like I need to find a mic that sounds good because these mics, they sound okay with the gaming, but for some reason with my computer, so I got to figure that out. Maybe it's just an adjustment I need to do. But I was thinking about just buying like a streaming mic anyway because I have a bunch of gift cards that I haven't been using. So I have like $200 to Amazon, so I will look into that and get something decent and then start doing that because that's where we need to go next. Like, this is great. This is passively, like, without any interaction. Like, I'm telling you what's going on, documenting this journey in this war on drugs. Um, and yeah, so we'll see where it goes. All right, ta-ta for now. I will see you in the next one. Let's go ahead and go to sleep. Let's just, right here. All right, I will see you there.